Welcome to Beyond the Brand, the podcast that takes you inside the world of franchising, brought to you by Business Alliance Incorporated. We're here to share real stories, expert insights, and strategies to help you navigate the franchise industry with confidence. Let's dive in.
All right, welcome. Hello. Thank you for listening in on this episode of BAI's Beyond the Brand. I am Heath Turner, and this is a series where we get the opportunity to hear the stories of our franchise partners, franchisees. And today I am joined by Tom and Janice Nork with Corporate Cleaning Group, who became franchisees in August of 2023 and now have the entire San Antonio market as their territory. So hopefully this conversation will give you a deeper understanding of the corporate cleaning brand overall, and that might even resonate with a candidate you're working with. With that, Tom, Janice, thanks so much for joining me this morning. I appreciate the time.
Heath, absolutely wonderful. Thank you for including us in this process. It's been wonderful to meet you as well.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure. I like to kick off these conversations just getting to know a little bit more about you prior to becoming franchisees. So I'm just curious what each of your career paths were, and then what led you to wanting to look into owning your own business.
Yeah, Heath, I'll go ahead and start with this because it was initially my brainchild, if you will. So
Okay.
I come out of corporate America in the newspaper business and the media
Mhm.
business. I'm one of the few paper boys left in the world, if you will, running manufacturing, distribution, facilities, supply chain for newspapers.
Uh-huh.
And as many of the people that'll be watching this know, that is an industry that is on the tail end of the growth curve. It's on the dying curve, and I'm watching the business die. I have always wanted to own my own business. I've never been risk averse. And once our kid's last child was getting out of college, I was willing to take more risk and wanted to start doing something for our family that would lead, that I could hand off, we could hand off to our family. So we started looking at franchising models and came across Corporate Cleaning Group.
Okay. And what was your checklist of items? What did you want to see out of any business you were going to investigate? What were your needs?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what my first one was. You may laugh at me and say you're not uncommon, and then I'll tell you, what it really was. I was really looking for something initially, and it came to be true, that was scalable. That was something I didn't have to rebuild the model. I come from
Mhm.
corporate America where I had a CFO I worked with. I'm an executive CFO I worked with. I had an HR team I worked with. I didn't want to rebuild the wheel there. But also initially, as I was talking to my broker, and he said, "What do you want, Tom?" I said, "I want something that will generate revenue." And he goes, "Do you want something that's going to make money, or you want something that's sexy?" And I said, "Yes." He said, then he put Corporate Cleaning Group in front of us because it served that dynamic of they had all the back office things that we wanted. I didn't have to spin them up. And it is scalable, as we have been able to do since we've had it.
Yeah. And Janice, what about, did you have any other needs out of the business? Don't bring anything to me unless checks these boxes.
Yeah, like he said, it was pretty much his brainchild, and
Okay.
I've always been supportive of what he's wanted to try throughout the years. I came out of a computer science background, a programmer, and then I homeschooled my kids for 25 years.
Oh, wow.
And so I didn't necessarily want something that I didn't know. Like, I'm not a business person, so this was
Mhm.
something new. And so that's where the corporate office has really, I rely on them for everything, teaching me about everything related to the back office and payroll and human resources and all of
Yeah.
that. But yeah, it's just him coming up with this. And I was like, okay, if you feel that's what the Lord wants, then
Love
let's
it.
do it.
A good teammate.
A little scary, but
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And a lot of what our brokers talk about with their candidates, the value they can bring as brokers is finding out what their candidate's why is. So for you, that why was scalability and also creating somewhat of a legacy business, something you could potentially pass down to your kids. Is that kind of what your
yeah,
main goals were, the deeper goals?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're replacing my income from a dying industry and then creating an annuity, if you will, and something we can pass down to our kids. Yeah.
Excellent. So you become franchisees in August 2023. What did you find in the early going were skills you already had? And if each of you have had different skills that kind of helped you both as new franchisees, what do you think translated over best for you?
For me, it was organization.
Okay.
I do like that, and I think it's helped as we're getting bigger. It's definitely hard. It's different than anything I've ever done, but I think for me, that's the biggest.
I would agree. She's a highly organized and likes how organized corporate cleaning group is. For me, I come out of an operations world, so the operating side of this just made sense to me, and I saw how it was scalable. So what I've done in corporate America translated quite well to this and setting up an operation and understanding how different parts of the business interact with each other. So that was, I couldn't wait to get our first client, to get in there and get my hands dirty and figure out and get all processes and procedures in place.
Excellent. And on the flip side of that coin, what was the biggest learning curve for each of you? I know, Janice, you already alluded to the kind of admin back office work was quite a bit to learn. But for you, Tom, what do you think you leaned on corporate the most with the franchisor?
Yeah. If I can answer that in two ways and what that was and how we handled it.
Yeah.
We started our business knowing that I had a full-time job, 50, 60 hours a week, and Janice was taxed quite heavily as well. So I needed to bring someone on to help us build the business. So day one, we brought our son-in-law on, and he started with us as a sales manager.
Okay.
So one of the things that I've never really had in my bailiwick was sales acumen, if you will.
Okay.
Everyone sells, right? I always had to sell a budget, sell a concept, but I wasn't that boots on the street sales guy.
Yeah.
So I leaned very heavily on corporate cleaning group for that. They came into the market a couple times. They helped us on every single presentation. I brought our son-in-law on, and he went out there and pounded the street with me. And corporate cleaning group was there every step of the way of, here's how you bid that. Here's how you present that. Let me come down. Let me come knock on doors with you. Let me come do some presentations with you. So they were very helpful. And even to this day, my call before our conversation was with corporate cleaning group on a presentation I just did yesterday, even 2 years in, on, hey, how would you handle this second step of this? So the sales side I viewed as my weakness, and we helped to source it through my son-in-law, and corporate cleaning group has been there every step of the way.
And now I'm stepping into a lot of that role as well in the sales.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Perfect. And so walk me through what, between the two of you, what that day in life looked like and how you balanced jobs with the responsibilities a new franchisee has. I'm sure you're busy people in August 2023.
Back in August 2023, I was in corporate America, still in corporate America, and I ran one business unit for them. So I did have a level of free time and flexibility. I would spend a couple days a week out pounding the pavement, introducing corporate cleaning group to the San Antonio market. My son-in-law would do the same thing. And that is what we did a couple days a week in the beginning until clients landed. And quite honestly, Janice, there wasn't a lot that she did in the beginning because it was just, we had to find clients. But once she did, she took over the whole onboarding side for clients and employees.
And what was your son-in-law's most successful strategy? Was it more grassroots, or was it strategic targeting certain types of businesses? How did you guys get your feet wet in the business?
Yeah. And you know what? That's another way the corporate cleaning group helped us in helping us identify the core niches that we focus on, which is it's medical, it's surgical, it's churches, it's schools, it's some Class A space and childcare. So they helped identify those locations, and he would go out and hit them. We'd focus on the certain geography within X miles from our house, which was our home base and still is. And we would focus on that with those locations. And then quite honestly, we both have a certain area where we were going to go see specific clients.
Yeah.
We'd stand there looking around, okay, who else's door can we knock on?
So pretty grassroots,
very grassroots, very grassroots. Yes.
Great. And a lot of our brokers have asked, okay, commercial cleaning, I see so many commercial cleaning companies out there. So what was the competition like for you? How do you differentiate yourself? Did you find that a lot of these businesses already had loyalties to companies, or was it pretty easy to sway them to become clients?
Yeah, it's a great question. So in the beginning, basically, we were looking for those that were dissatisfied. We were looking for low-hanging fruit, if you will. And with, just like any other thing, there are a lot of cleaning companies out there, but not everyone does it well. So we also did find a lot of loyalty that we're not changing the company that we're with. We've been with them for 10 years, or they haven't done anything wrong. They're not the best, but they haven't done anything wrong. So we went in and showed how we were different. And we also went in and we're looking for those that would say, no, I'm not really satisfied. Can I take a look at how you handle it?
Yeah.
And then the way we present really speaks to our differences.
So the value proposition, once you could get
Yeah.
in front of people, was a good selling point for you then.
Yes, yes. And you see me on video. I'm an older guy, gray-haired guy, and my son-in-law is a young, good-looking guy. So we each had a different appeal to different people, and I think that played well for us.
Excellent. And so over these last 2 years, scaling the business, has it been mostly your son-in-law's sales acumen that's growing the business, or have referral networks been created? I'm just curious what all those different pockets are that have contributed to get you to where you're at today.
Yeah, so it is a combination of him, myself, and referrals.
Okay.
He would walk in and get the interest, and then I would go in and give the presentation. And one of our largest clients right now, which is a surgery center group, it took us about 4 months to get them, but we now have 5 of them, which is about 40% of our business today. So we did use several lead gen companies, email generating email companies, phone call companies, telemarketing companies, and online. And that just all supported what we did. And that all came from Corporate Cleaning Group and their recommendations and how and who they have and who they saw fit well with us. So while people were getting an email, people were maybe getting a phone call, and then they're getting us dropping in the door. There's like, man, I've seen Corporate Cleaning Group somewhere. So it helped all of that combined together to help our walk in the door. But the majority of our business was from us, boots on the ground, knocking on doors saying, hi, I'm Tom with Corporate Cleaning Group. I'm going to talk to the person responsible for the cleaning. Are you happy with your clean? Something of that nature. But it was all of those together as a joint marketing plan really helped introduce Corporate Cleaning Group, which gave us a foot in the door in a handful of places.
Okay. So I'm picking up, you can't be an introvert and be successful as a franchisee in this business. You got to be a networker.
You know what? It helps, but I also believe, and I think it's the case here, you source to your weakness. Everyone has a weakness. And I believe my weakness was sales. But it's best if you're not an introvert. So you source to that. So I sourced to that with using Corporate Cleaning Group and using Daniel, and then just forcing myself to get out there. And then over the last 6 months or so, Janice has done the same thing and forced herself to get out there. And I think the three of us bring a different thing when we come to the door.
Yeah.
That allows us to do that. You can hire somebody to do it, or you can do it yourselves, whatever you feel best. And Corporate Cleaning Group supports that.
Excellent. And has your team grown beyond just the sales role since you started in August 2023?
My role?
The team overall. Have you brought on?
Oh yeah, the team overall. So we have transitioned our son-in-law primarily to operations now. Okay. Once the business got to a certain point, we needed to focus on operations. The best sales tool is a current happy customer. So he transitioned over to that and does a little bit of sales, which Janice then stepped in. We brought a few more vendors on. We've added a night supervisor. We've added trainers. We've added floaters to our team underneath our son-in-law that helps him run the night operation. When we started, if someone called out sick, I was out cleaning. Now there's 5 people between me and a person calling out sick because our ability to scale to where we have in the last 2 years.
And when you say you increase vendors, is that like subcontractors you use for certain jobs?
No, that is vendors from a sales perspective, whether it be an email vendor, a telemarketing vendor, a social vendor, a LinkedIn, someone that's going to connect us through on LinkedIn, vendors of that nature to help us fill our pipeline of future clients.
I see. Okay.
And all of our team are hired employees and
yeah, we do not contract out any of our work.
Okay.
That's us personally. We do not contract out any of our work. All of our cleaners, like Janice said, are employees of ours.
Okay, that was my next question. I know I didn't tee that one up for you, but that makes sense. Perfect. And I know since in the last 2 years, you've even already expanded in that territory, correct? With the territories you oversee.
Yes, we did. It had always been my goal to own all of San Antonio. And when the time was right, we grabbed the southern side of San Antonio, which would have been April of 24. We did that. And even since then, a couple months ago, we got a few, I don't know, we call them bedroom communities, but a few surrounding more residential communities of San Antonio on the northern side and on the eastern side, picked up a handful of smaller towns that we found weren't being serviced. So we added them to our territory as well.
Okay. And do you have plans for further expansion, or is your near future vision just fulfilling the territory you have now in the San Antonio area?
Yeah, I think we have enough space now.
Yeah.
I don't know. If it were up to me, I'd say no. I think we're good, but
Don't need to expand the borders.
Yes, so we do need to continue to fill out the territory that we have. There is a small gap between us and another managing partner. It's just a matter of whether we grab up a few more cities or not, but we don't need to. We feel we have a great group of territories that, quite honestly, two managing partners could do quite well in. But we view this as a great long-term business with great growth potential.
Yeah. What's the rest of, let's just say, like your 5-year vision, where you'd like to see the business in 5 years and your own roles in 5 years?
So I would say in 5 years, I would like to be even less than that, be out of my daytime role, because when I started, I was running one newspaper. I now run 2 newspapers and 3 magazines on top of building this business. My goal is to be out of that a year or so from now, and then working full-time in this business. And then in 5 years to be able to step back a little bit and be more of the relationship side of the business and more of just the working on the business as opposed to in the business. And my son-in-law taking on a larger role and then backfilling what he's doing and handing off some of the back office that Janice is doing to a staffer to do it.
Yeah, take some of that.
Because we did this to free up time for ourselves and create retirement for ourselves, because the business I'm coming out of, there's nothing left. So we want to be able to enjoy what we've built.
Yeah, and you deserve to. Absolutely. And what have you learned about the commercial cleaning industry since you've become franchisees? What has surprised you the most about this industry that you're in?
It's funny. What surprised me the most is how much people put up with when they're not happy. We have gone in some places and just been surprised that the past companies just don't do what they say.
Yeah. And they just
that's one of our biggest core values, is do what you say you're going to do. And some of these places just were not clean.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those are the exact words I was going to use.
Yeah.
Just surprised at what facilities managers are willing to put up with. And I come out of the facilities world and I didn't put up with it. I continued to move on until I found the cleaner that I wanted, which was another reason we looked at this, because I knew there was a gap, there was a void. And it's just absolutely amazing what some companies are willing to put up with. There's the bad side of that, but there's also the good side of that they have loyalty. And we've been the beneficiary of that loyalty as well. That loyalty is also gained from relationship.
Okay. So the message from that is, if you're looking at corporate cleaning group and you find yourself in a market where you think there's a lot of commercial cleaning companies, there's still a very big need for what you do.
100%. Definitely need. Competition breeds excellence.
Yeah.
And we specialize in a handful of niches that other cleaning companies do not. The surgery center operating room is one of them. Many of them won't touch churches because they're weekends and they're just.
Yeah.
You have to be flexible.
You got to be very flexible with your schedule, because they always have different things going on. You got to move things around. So we're willing to go in and do those more detailed, more worky cleans, if you will.
Yeah. Some of those jobs people don't want to do. Absolutely. This has been incredible. Thanks so much for sharing your story. I just have one more question. And I heard earlier that you did work with a broker to find corporate cleaning groups. So if you put yourself in the shoes of that broker and you have a candidate thinking about becoming a franchisee, knowing everything you know about the brand now, how would you present this opportunity to a potential candidate?
I think our broker was a friend of mine from when we lived in South Florida. When I said I wanted to do something, I love to go back to my do you want to make money or be sexy comment. I said, no, man, I want to open a coffee shop. Not that a coffee shop is bad. And that's when he said, do you want to be sexy? You want to make money? And I do what he did. So I would say, do this, right? He said, okay, Tom, well, let's sit down and talk about what are your strengths and weaknesses? What are Janice's strengths and weaknesses? So he did that type of survey on us. And he said, listen, here's what I think would fit you well. So It was like we were going shopping for a house. So he put 12 franchises in front of us. And so we whittled that down to 3, and Corporate Cleaning Group was one of the 3. And then I said, okay, let's go for our second weekend of looking for houses type concept. So we put a handful more in front of me, thinking about what was our long-term goal?
Yeah.
What were our skills, our strengths and weaknesses, and just really helped us settle in on Corporate Cleaning Group, and then pointed us directly to them. And for us to do validation, for us to validate our thinking, validate their data. And that was extremely valuable to be able to talk to active Corporate Cleaning Group managing partners, franchisees. And he made that available to us. And quite honestly, Corporate Cleaning Group made that available to us. So that process really helped us understand, regardless of, I want something that's sexy. Well, what is your real goal? Our real goal was to replace my income, create an annuity for ourselves, and a long-term scalable business for our family. And he was able to do that by understanding strong operational strength, strong organizational strength, and marrying the business together for that, and then putting them in front of us. So I wouldn't do anything different than what he did.
Yeah.
I think doing your research and really making sure it fits everything you really want, like, huge.
Yeah. That's a good process to work with through a broker when they're focusing on you, your strengths and weaknesses, and not trying to sell you a particular brand, but giving you the information and then letting you make that decision.
Yeah. And the other thing, the other thing that came out of that was, do you want to be an absentee owner? Do you want to be somewhat active, or do you want to be in the fray? And he was very honest about, you want this thing to work, you need to get your hands dirty. You can't be afraid of getting your hands dirty. You need to get in there and get it done.
Yeah.
And it's going to be tough work. And I think that's one thing that people need to understand in a service industry, service franchise, that it works best when you get in there.
100%.
But it works.
Yeah.
And the payoff is worth it.
Yeah. And setting clear expectations like that is important to do, because semi-absentee gets flung around a lot in this industry and it can mislead people. So I'm glad he had that conversation with you. And then just in terms of the key points about the brand itself for you, if you were going to say, here's a few things about Corporate Cleaning Group that you should know to a candidate, what would be those highlights for you about the business itself?
I think their values, they value people a lot and relationships. That's what got me in the beginning, because it was a huge step for me.
Yeah.
So those relationships were huge. And
yeah. And I would say 2 things. So first of all, I was looking for a business that would work and scalable. I'm that type of person. The numbers have got to work for me.
Yep.
And they've got to have the back office, because I don't want to spin all that stuff up.
There's the difference in our personalities.
They had that, and they have that. And then what was the bonus was the culture and community and partnership, which Janice is speaking to the point that before this call, I'm speaking to one of the owners.
Yeah.
About a client that we're looking to bring on. And he was available to have a conversation with me for 15 minutes. The culture and the community and the character of the owners and the corporate franchise group was huge and has been huge.
Yeah. Culture is extremely important. So I'm glad you highlighted that and gave us a little insight into the accessibility between leadership and franchisees. You don't get that in every system. So that's really great to hear. Excellent. Thanks, Tom and Janice. This has been a pleasure. Thanks for sharing your story with me and our network. I really appreciate it. And I'm wishing you all the continued success, and have a happy Thanksgiving, happy holiday season.
Thank you, you too.
Yeah, you too, Heath. Wonderful talking to you.
All right.
Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
That's a wrap on this episode of Beyond the Brand, brought to you by Business Alliance Incorporated. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe and stay connected for more insights on franchising success. Until next time.